That greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
The time came when the ticker tape in the broker's office told a new story. It was panic. 16.5 million shares of stock sold in a single day.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stock Dirty to Me, the #1 podcast for beginner investors. All the great people in the chats. Hello, hello. Of course, I am Phil Bitter, the podcast mogul, and with me, as always, is our millionaire money mentor himself, Lloyd Ross, host of my
Money
brain.
Grows on Trees podcast. Phil
Money
needs to
Grows
get-
on Trees podcast. I produce it. Oh my god, brain fart. I was sitting on the couch going through the intro, going, okay, I can't forget the shows, and I just forgot the shows, mind blank. And of course, the Stock Bro, or one half of Stock Bros podcast himself, Tony Seismansky, in the house. Guys, how are you doing? Apparently, I have red on my face, so I'm just gonna shut up now.
Nah, it's good, man. Hey, you've been working hard. We're good.
It happens.
You didn't get the blue shirt memo, Phil?
No, I forgot the blue shirt. I have the
Oh.
blue shirt. It's right here. See, I have the
Okay.
blue shirt right there.
That doesn't really count. We're going solid.
Oh,
blue
I
shirts.
apologize. Next. I didn't get the memo.
So-
You guys didn't tell me in time. I was busy getting all the stuff ready for our amazing audience and that. And we got some questions because last week we took a little break because Lloyd was flying around giving speeches and doing conferences and all that. Mr. Big Shot, and Tony was on dad duty. Just as important.
yeah.
Just as important as flying around and going to conferences and spreading knowledge. So we asked you guys for some questions. The email group sent us some questions, and on Facebook they sent us some questions. So you guys ready to talk news or questions? What do you guys want to do?
I don't know. I think we need to really discuss the slap first. The slap heard around the world, right?
You mean
Isn't that where
how they
every-
found Will Prince or some fresh prints on Chris Rock's face on the next day?
Yeah, I mean, every show is talking about it, no matter what genre show. So, I mean, how could we not cover that?
It's very, 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 very aligned with stocks. This is very
Yes.
Guys, if you think it was fake or real, please comment in the chat below
You're
because
gonna
we
get-
need to know. We need to take a poll.
We're gonna get record number of listeners because of
We already have. We're at 12 already before we even started. They knew we were going to talk about the slap.
The slap.
They
That's
knew
what we
the
got
slap was
labeled.
coming.
Label this episode the slap.
The
It's all
slap.
about-
Okay, I'll do it right now. I'll go over on. I'm doing it live, people, so you can see. We
Will
got some
Smith-
people who are saying that it's fake. We'll see. Some say
Will
it's
Smith.
fake.
He wouldn't make a great investor because he can't control his emotions.
Good point.
But you know what? Hey, we all slip up, make mistakes. Poor old Will. Poor Chris Rock. Chris Rock's like, shit, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And Will's like, fuck, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And hey, they're all friends now, so that's the way it is. We all make mistakes.
We got people real. A lot of people saying
Real.
it's real. We got some fake.
I thought it was fake until he gave his really strange Oscar speech that just was so incoherent and made no sense. And and he's like crying, and I'm like, what is happening? And then I realized, like, okay, this is real, because that was too ridiculous.
Bit of a mental breakdown, like.
It was sad.
Yeah, his wife, she belongs to the streets, as people would say. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
don't know what that means.
You can take the you can take the girl out of the gangster, but you can't take the gangster out of the girl.
there you go. There you go.
Got Mark calling in from Tony's
Mark,
backyard.
yes.
Always great to see. We do have a question because where is it? I believe it. Lashley Cowley is wondering about the Tesla split. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
heard about that.
What do we
Yeah,
think?
it looks like they. I don't know if they've announced the details of what the split's going to be, but it's probably going to look something like last time where they did a 5-to-1 split. And it also looks like they're going to start paying a dividend. So for those of you that are into dividend stocks, I wouldn't say this is going to be a dividend stock. It's probably going to be 1% yield or less. So it's going to be very low return. But I found that kind of interesting because typically tech companies that are still trying to grow, because let's face it, Tesla's still pretty new and they're still trying to grow. I'm surprised they're paying out. Yeah, I'm surprised they're paying out revenue in a form of a dividend rather than investing that into plants or battery tech, right?
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
No, it's surprising. Because usually you pay a dividend when you have no better place to put your free cash flow. And so in the States especially, you would see companies typically repurchase shares before they pay a dividend due to the tax in the States. You don't want to get income tax hit you. So when you're repurchasing shares, you don't get taxed on it, which is great. And that's why Warren Buffett, he buys back a ton of Berkshire and doesn't pay a dividend. He could have paid a dividend like decades ago, but he didn't. So I think it's weird actually that Elon's going to take Tesla's important cash flow that it needs, because it's only just realizing some profits now, and pay it out to shareholders. My only thoughts around that would be maybe he's looking to attract
a different type of investor. Yeah.
By doing the split and having a dividend, maybe he'll attract some more long-term investors. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that love dividends, but to me, if you're a dividend investor, you wouldn't be investing in a company like Tesla that's going to most likely pay you like a 0.9% yield.
Yeah, I haven't, to that point where someone just said that the split was going to be the dividend. So the split is just making it more liquid. It doesn't change anything. It just makes it more liquid, tradable. So it's irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah, they have more shares, but the market value is going to be the same.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I guess people probably want to know, I mean, we've talked about stock splits a lot and how this changes the value. From my opinion, and based on everything I've seen, stock splits don't change the value of a company at all. It just increases the amount of outstanding shares, and the market value is still exactly the same. So, like for instance, if one share used to be $1,000 and they split it into 5, now you just have 5 shares at $200 and your value is still $1,000. So nothing really changes.
Yeah, I think it's more important for people to understand this. When a company splits its shares, it's meaningless. Just so you know, it doesn't mean anything apart from it's more liquid, right? For people, retail investors primarily. But what is important about shares is a company buying back its shares for a discount to its fair value. So like, for example, when Facebook just went through its shit recently, is Mark taking the free cash flow and buying shares at a cheaper rate? Or is Alibaba just increased its share repurchase program up to 25 billion now? So Warren Buffett just bought 50 billion worth of stock in Berkshire. So is the CEO or is the board, are they buying back shares when the stock's cheap? What you don't want to happen is you don't want to have a company like, let's say, MasterCard, who's buying back its shares at all-time highs, because it's just it's buying its own shares at record highs. So it's not a good use of capital. And you want to look out for this as well. You want to look out for the fact that, are they selling shares into the market when the share price is low, which is bad, right? Because they're trying to raise capital at the wrong time. They're selling their own stock for cheap. Or are they selling shares at record highs? And that's what you want to look for. And there's this really good book, if you want to read it. It's called The Outsiders. And Warren Buffett read it, and that's how I found out about it. But it's about how all the best CEOs manage the capital of the company really well with buying shares, selling their own shares, using bonds to buy back shares at different times, and how they're managing the capital of the company. And in that book, the CEO, I forget what his name of Teledyne, I forget what his name is. When his shares were like at all-time lows, like flipping cheap, he borrowed money in the bond market and he bought back a shit ton of shares, and the stock went up 160-fold because he knew exactly how to allocate the capital. So when you're looking at good leadership in companies, it's really important to understand those concepts and steer clear of companies that just don't know how to do that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of articles written about that CEO, and I know, was it Henry
Singleton? Yes.
Yeah, he
Tell
he was a very famous case of how to be a really good CEO for shareholders and make a lot of money for shareholders. And I know, like, he was well respected and admired by a lot of big time investors like Warren Buffett and other billionaire investors.
Yeah. He's in that book. Like, that's the book that really should. I think every investor should read that book, The Outsiders. It's a wonderful book about good leadership in companies because it does matter, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about Tesla. I don't own Tesla. I'm probably not going to buy Tesla even after the split.
Yeah, same. I'm not going to buy it either.
They are making money. Their revenue is going up. I don't know. I don't fully believe in it. I don't know. It's not really my thing. So I'm just going to stay away from it. I still think there's a little bit of smoke and mirrors going on. And I think a lot of their market value is really tied to Elon Musk. And if he resigns, I feel like if Elon Musk resigns, they're going to lose 25-30% of their market cap in one day, right?
Yeah, a lot of key man risk. I don't think
Yeah, they could. They definitely could. It could be a temporary drop. But we did a poll a couple weeks ago, Phil, in the group. You probably remember when I asked how many people own Tesla only because of Elon Musk. And it was like a huge, it was 75, 80% of people own it only because of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And honestly, they might run better without Elon Musk.
They probably would. It'd probably be a more profitable company because they'll be able to do stuff without having to worry about what he's saying and will the SEC.
He never really delivers on anything he tweets. He's obviously a really smart guy, but he always tweets about all these things they're going to do.
He's a P.T. Barnum. He's good at creating a craze.
I think he's probably like a clever version of P.T. Barnum.
Yeah.
He's an engineering version, right, of PT.
Yeah, that's all he is.
He's very smart. It's just
he's a showman for sure. Yeah, he's definitely
a showman. Yeah,
because they're all following what Steve Jobs did with Apple. Like no one before in the tech world would come out and put on this glorious show that was entertaining and amazing. And so Steve Jobs started, and then all the other companies started doing it. And then Elon Musk is just the next iteration. He's like, because I'm using social media to have those world stages at any point I want.
I think the important thing to remember, a lot of people forget, is Elon Musk is not the inventor of Tesla. He's he came on years after as a CEO.
He bought the rights to the name founder. The actual founders are not allowed to say they're founders of Tesla because when he purchased the company, he purchased the founder as the title of founder.
So, okay, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Still a clever guy. I think.
I
think they're taking Starlink public, so that'll be interesting.
Ooh, that's going to be interesting. Just so that everybody knows, in the show notes, the link to The Outsiders, the book Lloyd was talking about, there's going to be a link so that you can purchase it off of Amazon.
Go
ahead and buy our course, too. Buy my course.
Yes, well, that is some of the questions we had. We actually, to jump into the questions, make sure I have the right one up. Here we go. Because I have both windows up here. Here we go. We have Kevin Wells was asking randomly if we had courses. I know, Lloyd, you have a course for micro investing and stuff like that coming out, or?
Yeah, I have a replay. I did a workshop the other day with it. It's probably, I mean, we should do like a special episode where we talk about this education stuff and do a collab on it together, where it's like we can talk about this, because I think that people they need to learn. And typically when people pay, they pay attention. Mm-hmm. And so if maybe we can create some cool offer with the courses and stuff and build up this really cool, and maybe we could even create a separate Facebook group just for that particular thing and put some cool extra value in there for them. So we should maybe do an episode where we just let's pull together our content and stuff, create an offer, and let's just give it to like, you know, top 10, you know, and really help them. That would be cool.
Yeah. And I would say we have a lot of, like, I know people freak out when they have to pay for anything, but you really do learn a lot more when you have an actual financial investment, and it's not that expensive. And there is a lot of free info in our group. You can search through all of our topics. There's a ton of free info, but we're talking more of like giving you like a step-by-step guide and starting from ground zero rather than like trying to squander up all this information and put it all together and figure it out.
Yeah. And also teaching people to be their own best stock pickers and not just have to ask all the time, hey, should I buy, you know, GME and should I buy AMC and blah, blah, blah. That's the point. That's a short-term money game. So we should do that. We should create some awesome offer and just put it out to like the first 10 who really want to move themselves forward. Because what I've found in coaching and teaching people for years is that when they pay, they are fairly accountable to showing up and learning. And if you look at universities, people pay what, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a degree, and they show up to class. If they didn't pay for it, they wouldn't go. But what's interesting about university is it doesn't teach you a lot of practical skills. So I think for a very cheap price, you could do that with us, and you could really kill it. So let's think about that. That's a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, Lloyd's a millionaire investor, self-made, right? I mean, Phil's basically a podcast entrepreneur at this point. He has so many goddamn podcasts all over the world now. He's doing podcast productions all over the world.
Yeah, I got Lloyd's in Australia. I got some in Europe. I have a couple in the States, and of course mine in Canada. So international. You're
he's an economist. We have an economist.
I do have a degree in economics.
Yeah,
and
there we go.
And I have sold out 200 courses now for my investment course.
Yeah.
4.7 star rating out of 5. And, you know, I don't have millions of dollars like Lloyd, but, you know, I have
on your way.
I have a substantial, I just hit like 60,000 invested this week. So, yeah.
Let's do this. Let's put something together that's really cool, really exclusive, really just for those in this group, because there's 50,000 odd in this group, right? And surely there's people here that really want to work closely with someone or us to really move themselves forward. So think of it more of an education experience, not a go buy this, do this, but more of an education, so we can keep you really level people up, I think. And let's do that. Maybe we should even too with that, we'll make an exclusive stock pick beginners group that's just for those who have actually moved to that next step. So we can see and work with people more closely who's serious. Because this group's amazing, but I think that's the next step for people to take, because I think they're stuck. Anyway.
Yeah. We could start out with a ground level type of master class. And then once you graduate from that, we can talk about picking individual stocks. Yeah.
Definitely.
Ooh, we got a question for Lloyd here. I'm just seeing who it is. This is not the one I wanted. It's this one. Alicia Kali is asking, Lloyd, when did you start investing? At what age? And how long did it take you to become a millionaire?
Yeah, good question. I started investing, I think, when I was 23. I'm 38. It took me longer than what it should have. It took me 13 years, I think. 12 years.
Yeah, but that's really good, though. 13 years is
I don't
excellent.
know. I used to think that, Tony, but now I'm like, I see these, I don't know. Yes, I'm happy and proud about that. And yes, it definitely is good. But I think, had I have just taken things a bit more seriously earlier, I would say this, if I had taken bigger swings, bigger risks, I think I got too caught up in the diversification bullshit. And what I didn't realize was some of the best companies in the world they're so safe that I just, I got caught up, and I think they're my lessons, but I hope that answers your question.
That makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I think the average person, though, if you're going off the average person, and that's kind of what we have to like tailor it to if we're going to start out this beginner level.
Oh, definitely.
Because the average person in the United States, or, you know, that's a lot of our members are in the US, is making, you know, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. And as someone that's been a little bit above that level, above the average income level myself. I know how it is to kind of struggle for a while and try to figure out how to save money and
Yeah.
get to that point. And it took me 5 years. In 5 years, I hit $100,000 between like cash and investing, all of my assets. So
Yeah.
if I can do it, making a pretty modest salary, anybody can do it in the group. So,
Yeah. Look,
but-
here's the thing though, too, to touch on that, Tony, is a good point, is it will take time, and you not struggle, but it will take time if you've got a job and you've got a capped income. So like if you can only save 20,000 a year, you can I can tell you to the day you're going to become a millionaire. We can even do that exercise in our program.
yeah.
But here's the thing. I realized that, and I wasn't happy with that. I was not content. I'm like, I ain't fucking waiting 18. No way. How do I get up?
Yeah.
So I started looking for ways to make money, extra money. And I had this intention that I was going to put it all into stocks. And that's what probably changed me and accelerated me the most. And that's what I think people don't understand. I'm like, yes, you can invest your way to wealth, but the more money you can get your flipping hands on now with trading your time for money, do it, because it's like the earlier you get that money into the stock market, the better.
You got to find ways to increase your revenue, because you're only going to be able to save and invest so much.
That's
and
right.
That's kind of what I figured out. Like I was kind of stuck in my 20s. I was stuck at like $10,000-$15,000 saved for the longest time. And I could never break that hurdle until I hit about 28, 29. And then it just, I'm for 4 or 5 years, I'm like, that's it. I got to start making sacrifices. I'm going to start making, finding ways to make more income. And, I got raises at work, and you just got to find ways to do it. And we'll talk about all that, we do a course on it. So.
Yeah. I do this cool.
The average person can do it.
I did this event where I sold some of my products at this event a few weeks ago. And I did this exercise called leverage. And I think it's one of the key components of learning how to make money is just developing leverage. And just most people just don't understand that concept. And that's why they never really scale their wealth, because they can't detach it from their time. And that's truly what you ought to be trying to do. Even with your stocks, like if you look at the compound interest graph, there's a moment in time where your money grows exponentially without your effort and time, and that's infinitely scalable. And that's really what you want to get to. And this is why I'm so pedantic in the group about saying, hey, don't be a trader, be an investor, because at some point in your life, you'll definitely want your money to overtake your time and effort completely, so you can never catch it. Like, I think the other day I had like a $96,000. Did I share it with you guys? I had like a $96,000 day.
Yeah.
Now I know that it's not always like that and so on, but it just shows you that like by doing nothing later, you can have these massive moves in your money, right? But of course, it's very hard to see that when you first start out.
Oh yeah, it took me forever to get to 10,000 invested, and then after I hit 10,000, it just kept. It was so fast after that. You get to 20, 30, 40. It's so fast. I would say the best free tip I can give people, and the easiest thing you could do is max out your 401k, because that's free revenue. Like, because you need to find ways to increase your revenue. That's free revenue. Yeah, it's such a big difference. But I think the most encouraging thing, Lloyd, is we have a lot of people in the group that are older, they're like 40 and older, right? We do have younger people. We have a good mix, but there's people that might be 50s and their 60s. And it's encouraging to hear, like, if you became a millionaire in 13 years, someone in their 50s, it's not too late for them. They can do it.
Listen, no way. Yeah, absolutely. I've got friends of mine. I'm going to catch up with them in Sydney this week. They started a side business when they were 60, and they just bought a villa in Tuscany.
Jesus.
So how about this for like, I was also in Sydney, that event that I went and flew that. So the one you're talking about, Phil, I couldn't be here last week. There's a friend of mine, her name's Dawn. She's sitting there, she's on the stage, she's sharing her story. She's made $1 million in the last few years. She's 76. What the fuck? Like that's crazy. That's amazing. So it's only ever about level of desire and vision and hope, and understanding that if you go after things like that, you're going to stay young too. So like this whole like I'm 16, I can't fuck, that's a bullshit limiting belief.
You got to have, you got to compromise. You got to make sacrifices, and you got to take risks.
Totally. And hey, you know what? At 60, I ain't got nothing to lose. Like, what the fuck?
No.
That's why when I talk to people who are older, they take risk better because they know, hey, you know what? It's a Hail Mary here. Let's go. Like, what else would you want to be on Earth if you didn't want to play big?
Yeah. And there's so many things you can do there's so many little things. You could anybody in the world could start a podcast and make some side money. Anybody in the world can create a course like we did, and it costs nothing to do it.
No, you can put it up on Skillshare. Boom, you're done. You can buy a domain for $5. Redirect it to.
Check this out. I'll give you guys this. This is what happened to my wife, right? So this is why skills and learning is so flipping important. So people always think, oh, I'm not making money, so I'm not progressing. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You're getting skills, so you are progressing. So like 8 years into a side business build, my wife's built skills in marketing, communication, talk, all that stuff, right? She's an introvert. She didn't want to even call the pizza guy 8 years ago to order a pizza. She's so shy. So anyway, this is about personal growth because you can only grow your income to the extent you grow yourself. So at this point in time, this app pops up in Australia. You would definitely have it in the States and in Canada because we're so far behind here. But it's called Paw Shake, and you literally look after dogs, right? So like you babysit the dogs and they come to your house, you get paid. Flipping easy. It's the easiest shit ever to turn your house into an income, right? So anyway, she takes her marketing prowess and she puts it on the app and she creates this irresistible offer. And it's like, your dog's going to come over, it's going to get a free little toy. It's going to get this, it's going to get photos from my iPhone and nice photos taken on the iPhone and sent to you, portraits. It's going to get a free ride in the Range Rover, even though if you don't have one, it's okay. We're going to take it for a puppuccino in the park. It's like $4 here. So the whole offer costs her like $10, but she's charging premium. So it's like $100 to stay overnight in our house. So like,
and you get to play with doggos.
My wife this week gets two. She's gonna freaking in 2 or 3. She's made $1,200 this week. So I just want people to know that this whole thing, like I can't make extra money, is just a limiting belief.
Yeah,
you can, especially in the land of opportunity called America, where you can flip and do anything you want. Seemingly, if you live in Australia, you can't do a damn thing. In Canada, it's kind of in between, right? So
yeah, we have gig work. You can if you have a car, jump in Uber, deliver Uber Eats, DoorDash, all of them.
Yeah, it's called hustle.
Honestly, all you need is a couple years of sacrifice and just working your ass off, and it can go such a long way,
100%.
I'm starting to see that myself because I felt the same way years ago where I just felt like at a dead end. I couldn't figure out how to like break through. I always stuck at the same level.
Yeah.
And I just felt stuck in the mud. And, I decided to make a podcast and I met Phil, and then you network too. You meet people. Yeah. I met you guys and, we met, almost 2 years ago now. And it's the people you can meet along the way. And just find something you're good at. Some people might be good at cooking. Make a cooking course, do what your wife did. There's so many things you could do to make money.
So many things. I just think it's about belief, and having mentorship. Like if we end up doing this thing we're talking about, we could even talk about ways to make some extra money and stuff. Give people some ideas and inspire them a little bit with some ideas. But hey,
sometimes that's all people need is that inspiration,
Well, absolutely. Environment is everything. So people say, how do you become a millionaire in your 30s? My dad was such a good mentor, still is. And like growing up, I saw him hustle, work away, make sales, talk about money, buy fucking port. Like I saw that and I was close to that. And so that's why having the right environment makes you level up.
That's something I'm really thinking about doing is investing in like a 2-family or buying a 2-family home and using it as an Airbnb. And just living in my apartment because I don't need a house, and just having some type of side like real estate is the next step for me.
Listen, man, if I was in the States, I'd have a 2-piece house. I get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage because I get interest discounts on my tax for even having a house. I'd lease one out as Airbnb, right? And then I'd flip and look after some dogs in there too. Then I'd take my car and Uber on the weekends. And then I'd invest that in stocks and then have some sort of gig or a business or something that I could scale. That's what I'd be doing. Like, it's just such a great place to do that. You can't do a lot of that stuff in Australia because it's too regulated. But in the States, you can just make money just left, right, and center, I think.
Yeah, you really can. And it doesn't take much. Even if you're Like if you're making an extra $1,000 a month, if you're investing that's 12 grand a year. I mean,
Yeah.
in 10 years, that is going to be a significant amount of money.
Yeah. Well, if you put away $500 a week at a 9.5% return, like even less than the S&P 500, in 17 years you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
Right now people are like, I don't want to wait 17 years. I'm like, well, fuck, you're going to turn 57 or 67 or 87. At some point, you're either going to turn that age as a millionaire or not. So you choose what you want. But the reality is too, how much of life do you want to live just at leisure? How fucking boring is that shit? Like, there's only so much sitting on the beach and jet skiing and shit you can do. I'm telling you, like, it's boring as batshit. You don't want to just have your life of leisure. It sucks. So this whole retirement thing, I'm just going to have freedom. It's fucking boring. Find something that inspires you, that levels you up and makes you think and grow. And it'll feel like you're on holidays. I feel like this is me working my ass off.
Guys, if you find a way to make $250 a week on a side hustle and you invest all of it into the S&P 500 over 10 years with the historical return of about 10%, you'll have almost $250,000 in just 10 years. And you only invested about 120 grand. So like in 10 years, you have $250,000. Now you're not a millionaire, but you're
a quarter of the way there.
You're pretty financially safe with $250,000 in the bank. You're invested.
You take $250,000 and put into one good stock, right? That you understand well. That's $1 million. You'll turn into $1 million. You could even do like what Apple's run up fourfold in like the last however many years.
You put in Google, Apple, Microsoft, anything like that, and in 5 years you're a millionaire. So if you take $250,000, but you got to get to that first, you got to build up to that. And that's probably what I'm going to do. Once I get to 100,000 in portfolio, I'm probably going to put it all into one stock and let it ride for 5 years. Maybe Apple or Microsoft.
Take your whole 60, Tony, and chuck it in Facebook.
Yeah, I did put a big chunk of my savings in Facebook, and I'm kind of hurting.
Big swing for Tony.
Think about it though. Think about it. Like my biggest position is as a bank, but I got $500,000 in Alibaba, and it's like I'm gonna put more in because you got to swing big at really good opportunities. They don't come around often. Like Facebook.
I'm trying to build cash so I can buy. I want to buy real estate. And that's kind of what my goal has been for a long time, because I was going to buy a house, but I really want to buy real estate and rent it out. That's what I want to be. You know what I mean? I want to have thousands of dollars of income on real estate and stock income.
Yeah. Yeah. I think real estate in the United States makes more sense from an income standpoint because the yields are high. The yields are higher. The property's cheaper pound for pound than here. But it doesn't make any sense in Australia. But it makes sense in the States, yeah. Like if
that's
you can buy
a lot of people are doing that in the States right now. Is they're buying 2-family homes and using them as Airbnbs and making a lot more money than leasing them out in a yearly lease. And then they're taking the garages. I want to buy something that has a garage too, and then rent the garage out for storage. A couple of my friends are doing that. You rent the garage, you rent both floors. It's insane.
So the lesson is, if you're taking cash, let's say it's $50,000. This is the lesson in investing. Where's the highest and best use or highest ROI in that cash? Because it's easy to get carried away with real estate or that. But if you look at the numbers, I think investing in the likes of something like Facebook in the next 12 months, it's 100% return probably. It's very hard to beat that in anything else. So if you go and buy real estate or something, you're going to actually lose money.
So here's my position. I have almost 40,000 in cash. But I've been trying to put that money into a 2-family house. But at the same time, I just had a baby and I'm paying a crazy amount for daycare. Like daycare is insane. Yeah. So, and when you have a kid, you guys don't have kids, but when you have a kid, like you start to worry more about having enough money at all times. So that's something I realized, like, cause you never know what's going to happen. So that's always something and I'm sure we have a lot of members in the group that have kids that feel the same, but you do have to take chances. I understand that too. So
yeah, I was thinking back to my dad. Like, I've got to bring him on my podcast this fucking week.
Yes,
four kids, and has always just taken big risks and lost everything.
We should have him on this show. You got to have him on this show.
I'm gonna warm him up because he's not so good with the technology side of things. I'm gonna bring him on the podcast for a few episodes to tell the story, and then hopefully we can bring him on here at some point. But he's not a stocks guy. I mean, I got him into stocks. Thankfully, he's awesome. He's like, he loves it. But anyway. Listen, I have to go shortly, so I just see this question. I just want to answer before I leave. So
yes, here the question is: what's better, guys? Individual stocks or ETFs? Lloyd, can you tell us more about what you mentioned about diversification?
I think Tony would agree, and you agree, Phil, that for most people in this group who aren't prepared to put in the work or the effort, or uninterested either, and don't have that desire to look at companies in detail and understand the numbers and do all that stuff, that doesn't juice you up, then you probably definitely shouldn't be doing individual companies, and you should just go for the S&P 500. Like that is so sensible. It's so sensible that Warren Buffett even says, "Man, just flip and do that." He's done tons of interviews where he's actually told you what to do. Just that we're too egotistical to listen to him.
I tell people all the time, the S&P 500.
Yeah, I think so.
You'll get rich investing in VTI or VU or SPY.
Yeah.
It's just going to take longer. That's all.
You can make big moves with individual stocks, but you have to understand the business, only because of when it falls, like what happened to Alibaba recently. Like I had to understand that business well enough so that when it cut down by 30 or 40%, I lost a couple $100,000. I didn't freak out about it. That's the key to learning about individual companies. If you can deal with that, your stock falling by up to 50%, you're good. But if you can't deal with that and you haven't done your homework, you're going to freak out, panic, and you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. So I would say for this whole group, I think it's pretty sensible to do S&P 500 and go and spend your time and your day figuring out how to make more bloody cash to put in your S&P 500. That's the truth. That's what people should be focused on.
Yeah, I agree.
Did that answer the question?
Yeah, that pretty much answers.
And you're already diversified too. You have 500 companies.
It doesn't take any time. So
it takes no time.
Just,
that's
okay
kind of
every day. You can automate it so that it just takes it all the time, and you don't have to worry about it.
Fuck, man.
Simplify your life, people.
Now. When I was younger, when I first started, I had to give like a stool sample to get a fucking broker account opened up, and then there was no such thing as ETFs. I was like, what? You know,
or fractional shares either. You have to buy the full share.
Yeah, guys, fractional shares is such a game changer because you don't need to buy $400 a week or a month of a stock of a ETF now.
It's actually too good, Tony. It's too good that people will go into it so easily that they just don't appreciate it. So they'll just I bought a new pair of shoes with it and blah blah blah. And then it's like it's too easy now. It's too accessible, right?
There's so much you can do now. You can use Acorns. There's so many different apps to invest that do everything for you. And you could do $5 at a time. Like there's no excuse.
Yeah. But I did my workshop on micro investing, and I got to tell you, the amount of people even after the workshop that didn't take action would astound you. The fear that grips most beginners is so great. It's so because of risk. I'm going to lose it. It's so great that they prevent doing anything, even in a micro level. It's bizarre, and people also don't understand technology so good that so as well as what we think. They get stuck because they go into Acorns like, oh, what portfolio? What? I can't. Oh, they did something with my funny account. I'm out, gone. Then they won't open it back up.
Yeah, anyway, so true.
So listen, I have to jet, but love you guys, and let's do this. Let's collab on this thing. Let's bring this group up together, and let's do a special episode, and we'll talk about that.
I love it, man. Sounds great.
Yeah, awesome. All right,
man. Thanks for joining.
Take care, Lloydie.
Have a good week.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Yeah, no, he said it perfectly. A lot of people are fearful in the beginning, and I was one of them. I understand that. And
same here.
When you put money in and you see it drop, you're like, what am I doing? Like, what's going on? You got to go through a couple of those as a new investor. You got to see the market drop a couple times. And, in the last couple of years, I've seen it drop huge amounts, but I've also seen it come back up huge amounts. And then that gives you hope and it gives you discipline when you go through that a couple times. So you just got to stick it out. You got to stick it out. You could use Acorns, amazing app.
Simply in Canada.
Simply
Canadian.
Acorns. We should drop. You know what? You got one of those links. You should drop it in there for the Canadian friends in the group, and I'll drop my Acorns link for the American friends in the group. And so get on those. If you use our links, you'll get free $5 invested into your account to start out.
At least for the Acorn and the public that you use. I'm not sure about the one I give. I have to double check.
I think
that.
so. Yeah, I think so. I think so for yours too. But I mean, don't wait. Just get, like Warren Buffett says, the best time to invest was yesterday. The next best time to invest is today. So you can't really time the market. You just got to go for it. And check out my course on investing for beginners. If you're at a very novice level and you're confused on what to do, I start out talking about the basic terminology, and we start right from square one. So you can check that out as well. But I think we're pretty much wrapped up, right, Phil?
Yeah, I just want to promote Lloyd's stuff. So it's Money Grows on Trees. It's the podcast, LloydJRoss.com. If you want to check out his book, Money Grows on Trees, where he talks about how he planted multiple money trees, doing a side hustle, investing, and using his day job. He talks all about that. He breaks it down. It is a book that I need to reread. I have it. I need to reread it just so that I can be reacquainted with it. It's one of those books you have to revisit every year. He has a new book coming out as well, Money Makes You Happy, or something along those lines. Looking forward to getting a copy of that. But yeah, Money Grows on Trees, amazing podcast, guys. I get to listen to these episodes before everybody else and get ahead of everyone and all the listeners, and it's flying up the charts. So it's worth your time to listen because I learned so much from it. So do make sure you go ahead and subscribe to it on Spotify. Money Grows on Trees, the podcast. It's the best place for you to learn and increase
number one in Australia, right?
Yeah, number one in Australia for financial IQ, meaning that he helps you bring up your level of intelligence when it comes to finances. So how to make money, how to invest, how to get your mindset right. If you want to learn how to properly do stuff with the stocks, you go check out Tony's Stock Bros podcast. That is a phenomenal piece of asset for you guys to learn.
And Phil helped out with both of our podcasts, and he's the main producer on Lloyd's. And we've both been in the top 100 for our countries. So at one point, so if you need help with a podcast, DM Phil.
And because podcasting is a lot of work, because there's a lot of back stuff, not just talking on this. I'm coming out with a course for automation. I'm hoping to have it complete in the next 2 weeks and up and running so that people can buy it and automate their podcast. So it's a lot less work for you guys. But yes, and if you have any interest in learning how to be a digital entrepreneur, how to make money online, I interview them on my podcast, Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast, found on all major platforms. And please go ahead and subscribe there. It'd be great. But that is the show for today, unless Tony has something else he wants to add.
Nope, that's all. Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for listening. Remember to be smart with your investments and think long term. And we need to find a sign off for this show. We have to figure out.
That's what we gotta do. We gotta take a poll for that in the group.
Yes, we're gonna do a poll because you guys picked out the name, and every time I tell someone the name of the show, they're like, "It is a fantastic name." So you guys are doing amazing. So we're gonna put a poll out in the group, and you guys can decide on how we should end the show. But with that, guys and girls and everyone in between, thank you so much, and have a great week.